All right, guys, that brings us to our next session. What a wonderful, wonderful meeting with David Lasher from Keen 360. But that's bringing us into another great conversation with Stefan Bannon. Stefan, bonjour. How are you?
Bonjour, I'm fine.
All right, perfect, excellent. This is going to be a great discussion with Stefan. He's going to share an enterprise customer success story on, how low code helps to replace legacy infrastructure and align processes across the organization. So, Stefan, you can start your screen sharing, and we'll take it from there.
So I am Stefan Bannon from Process First. So Process First is dedicated to Creatio, and we love the solution. And we have many customers now in France. And I have a message that. Okay. We have one big customer called l'Ordre des géomètres experts, with my French accent. And what is this company? So it's not a usual case with the CRM case with company opportunities case or marketing. It is an institution. This institution work to manage all the area around what we call surveyor. So surveyor is a geometer. So this business or this job consists to measure the different landscape area and to provide official data when you buy a house or when you buy a field regarding all this information. So to become a surveyor, you have to follow a very specific school and specific engineer schools, and you become from a trainee to a surveyor by following some different steps managed by l'Ordre des géomètres experts. So this global institution has different role, and Process First was involved, and we have an RFP last year, and we win the deal because we were able to demonstrate how the complexity of this organization can be easily put in place with Creatio. So, sorry. The different challenge we have, it's to answer to different questions. And the good thing is first to have the opportunity to understand this business, what at the beginning was not very classic and not very easy. And at the end, the idea is to be able to modelize this organization in Creatio and to, based on this foundation, work in a process level. And that's why we are calling Process First, because we think process and we think process with Creatio. So I do not want to read every notion, but you can see that we have many topics, and we did a project with many workshops based on this topic, and with the business first before implementing something. The planning of this project we started last year, and now the project is live. And as you can see on the right, this institution work for 1,100 offices of surveyor, and at the end there is 1,800 surveyor who use the system with a portal solution. Internally, we have the institution employee plus some regional, I would say, subsidiaries, and each regional subsidiaries has their own definition how to manage their territory and the rule to get what we call it's my last second slide, what we call the tax, and because this organization has to gather the tax for the different offices and the offices of surveyors. So at the end, and the goal of the project is to replace the entire information system. So that's a very good example how Creatio and Creatio Studio is able to address completely an information system. So that's why in terms of low code, no code, I think it's our best customer we can show today. Now I propose to show a short demo because we do not have a lot of time, and you can see how this solution was implemented in Creatio. So here I am, if you see my screen, in Creatio. You can recognize the accounts. So you see the interface in French because it's a French project. So you can improve your French by this way. And now if I open an account, if you have the habit to see a Creatio account, I can put my screen in the full screen. So you see that we have different steps before becoming an active account. So this notion of life cycle for an account for every object was very used in this implementation. And you can see that we have a lot of data around this account. So that's why the notion of this 360 view of an account here is defined in a deep way, because it's all the knowledge we can get from an offices. So you can have information regarding finance, action share, and one very important thing, it's what we call quantization. And quantization, it's like a tax return because it's the way to get money and in an official way. And it is the process I would like to show you now, because it's a very complex project process. So what is a return tax called quantization? If I open one for a specific account, you can see that we have a lot of figures. The first step is to gather information by getting data from the surveyor office and the different subsidiaries you have. So how many, what is the turnover of each offices they get? Based on this information, we can calculate the different components based on the region of each offices. And one part of the calculation is for the national step. And here we have several regions. Angers, it's a region in France, for example. And so we have to define some specific rules and calculation for each one. And here we have some processes who did the calculation. And here we have line by line, we can have some rule based on the region, based on the national, and based on several conditions, how many offices I have, how many surveyor I have, and so on. And each region can have some different rules. So at the end, we are able to declare, and if I use here the print table, I can show you what surveyor can receive every year from Creatio, and it is the case this year because it's a live solution. So he can receive the detail, and at the end, he has to pay based on this detail. As your return tax, if you compare this process. So it's done by Creatio, sent directly to the surveyor, and you can see here the global process, because at the end, at the beginning, we gather information, and at this step, we calculate everything. So if you would like to see how the calculation is done, because I think this calculation engine is very interesting, you see here a group of region in which you can define some rules per period. This year we have several rules, and if you remember, we have the Angers, because I am on a test system, and it's not the real one. We have 18 regions in this system, and for each region, an administrator, the CRM administrator, has to define the different rules. And for each rule, sometimes we can pass some parameters. And if I open one rule, and all these rules will be applied when we calculate the tax return, I would say. So if I open one rule, you see here that this rule open a process. So that's the power of our system and this engine, is that in fact the calculation itself and the rule itself is a process, a Creatio process, and that means nothing is coded. All the rules can be handled by the customer himself. If the next year he would like to copy this rule, he can copy, change it, make some additional rules. So we have an engine here, very useful, and that can be completely managed by the customer himself. And if you like rules, and if you like business processes, I can open the main process each year, who can start and launch the process for the return tax. Here, first, we have some rules defined for the annual case. We have some specific case for specific kind of offices. And this is some holding who have some specific taxes too. If I take one, if you would like to see, sorry, I have some windows to move, how it works. You can see beginning of the year, an administrator just have to start this process to generate everything for every offices. So it's not to be scared about, because some of you can understand that we have some question asked for the user, and sometimes we have calculation, and sometimes we call some processes. It's only to say that everything was done with processes. Okay? Just a second, I just close this one. And now the last thing I would like to show you in this application, it's if I move as a surveyor, because the surveyor now can access to data only by using the portal access. So I have a portal user here, and you can see by using the portal that he can administrate a lot of things. He can administrate the different questions he have, administrative question, so using the cases in Creatio. He can make the request to manage all the training session, because it's mandatory for him to follow or to give some training session. He follow here for his office all the payment requested to pay and so on, and he can see his own office, so his own account directly here, and in this account he can directly see the return tax we saw on the other side. If I double click here, I can see this simple screen for him, because he has to join some official documents. He has to fill some data based on the subsidiary he has, and he has to enter a kind of survey where we put some data based on the last year, and he has to enter this data. And you see, we did some customization regarding the look and feel to have something very simple for the user. So you see how we can interact with the end user, and in this case is a surveyor, and interact in the same process, because in fact the beginning of the process, it's all the data filling by the surveyor, and then we can continue and make the calculation, and he receives. So we use a lot the emails to receive notification by emails, and to invite the user to use the portal, because the idea is to stop using email and interact directly. If he would like to see something, he has to use the portal. Okay, so I can switch now to my slides, because I see the time is running. I have a very nice short video. I can show you just a part of it, because it was done by the customer to explain how the solution should be used internally. So they communicate internally, and they use the knowledge base to explain how to use the solution. So there is an internal communication done by the customer. I stop here because we do not have a lot of time. And we learn a lot. In fact, we learn a lot because we learn in terms of project. We use the agile methodology, but we first use some workshop to understand, define, and we did some mistake in the conception at the beginning, and we were able to change it in an agile mode, which is very powerful, based again on Creatio solution. And at the end, everybody is satisfied, customer is very happy, and they have the end to continue to improve and to enhance the project. And we have some other part of the company who would like to be part of this information system.
Wonderful, wonderful, amazing, amazing demo, Stefan. We fortunately don't have time for questions, but the chat is just full of compliments on your demonstration. So everybody really enjoyed it. We'd like to, definitely thank you for sharing that with the audience. And again, it looks like it resonated with a lot of individuals on the call today.
It's my pleasure. Okay, thank you, Eric.
All right, Stefan, thank you again.